Discover the incredible journey of a millionaire who changed forever after marrying a hidden gem. Amidst the towering skyscrapers of Chicago, Jake Stevens strode confidently down Michigan Avenue, his tailored suit a testament to his self-made fortune. Each glint from the glass buildings reflected a success story. But for Jake, serene aspirations slowly shifted to an unsettling reality. Beneath the luxurious facade lay a man adrift, caught between a version of himself that lived in boardrooms and a memory of family dinners filled with laughter, sharing dreams, and love. One fateful evening, the scent of roasted coffee wafting through the small cafe pulled him inside, hoping to escape the clutching shadows of his solitude. It was there he met Emily, a waitress youthful and vibrant, her laughter contagious. As she moved from table to table, her grace radiated a warmth that felt like home. Their eyes met a jolt of connection, a spark igniting hopes buried deep beneath layers of ambition and wealth. "Can I get you anything else?" she asked, her voice laced with genuine kindness that pulled at Jake's heartstrings. He realized he craved something beyond the latest luxury car or penthouse. Their conversation unfolded like a breath of fresh air, filled with Emily's dreams of organizing her inner-city community, a vision that jarred with Jake's platinum world. At first, the gulf between their lives seemed cavernous. He was a millionaire in a sea of status while she served tables. But it wasn't too long until Emily's spirit unraveled something buried inside of him: compassion. Their weekly dates turned into spirited debates about inequality, igniting a fire Jake hadn't felt in years. The laughter once shared with his family echoed again. But his friends raised brows, pointing out her socio-economic status, their critiques harsh and dissonant. The crisis broke in the form of a community rally, a hard-hitting cause that struck at Jake's heart: a local school facing imminent closure. "Jake, we can't just stand by," Emily urged, her earnest eyes imploring him to see beyond his gilded cage. The urgency was palpable. In the face of their shared conviction, wealth felt less like a trophy and more like a chain. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But as Jake stood at the fundraiser, the crowded room filled with passion and purpose, an inner conflict roared to life. Emily stood before the audience. Her words soared as her passion spilled forth, declaring, "We are more than our enclaves. We are our hopes." Yet in the crowd, whispers undulated, skepticism looming over them. Jake felt a tightness in his chest, a moment of clutching dread. He could feel the eyes of his friends boring into him, expectant and judgmental. Should he remain silent or step up? The tension peaked as he considered the weight of his wealth against the spirit that Alex represented. Could he redefine what success meant? With his heart racing, he faced a moment that could rewrite his story. Would he cling to the familiar or embrace the extraordinary love that challenged his core? The crowd waited, holding its breath, and Jake stood on the precipice of change. How could he sacrifice what he felt for the past he had learned to display as success? The choice lay heavy before him, as the buzz of uncertainty enveloped the evening. Jake's heart raced like a wild stallion ready to break free. He could see Emily on the stage, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the lights, her passion drawing the crowd in. "We can make a difference," she urged. Her voice resonated with hope and determination, and as he gazed into her earnest eyes, he felt his old life crumble around him. "What are you waiting for?" A voice pierced through the silence in his own head. Was it fear or the need for acceptance that held him back? His friends' faces blurred into a sea of disapproval, but behind that wave of judgment, he saw a flicker of something else: curiosity. Was success only defined by the dollar signs attached to his name? Suddenly, he was reminded of those family dinners, the laughter echoing through their cozy little home. They had never cared about his bank account. They cared about him. Jake took a deep breath, stealing a glance at Emily. The way she stood there, a beacon of conviction among those who chose comfort over courage, inspired him to think beyond the walls of his privilege. "Jake, come on." The whispered urgings from his friends punctuated the air, but they couldn't drown out the mustering voice of his conscience. With a sudden bolt of clarity, he realized he didn't care about the frowns or the raised eyebrows. He craved connection, authenticity, and the chance to impact lives, starting with Emily's community. He stepped forward, the crowd around him almost parting like waves in the sea. It felt as though time had stopped, every eye locked onto him, every heart waiting. With every inch that he drew closer to the stage, the weight of expectation shifted from his shoulders to a newfound sense of purpose. "Emily." His voice emerged calm, steady, taking root amidst the tension. "You're right. We're more than our enclaves." The gasps rippled through the room as the silence shattered into hesitant applause. Feeling a mixture of exhilaration and vulnerability, he locked eyes with Emily, who was stunned yet captivated. "For too long, I've been playing the role of a man defined by wealth," he continued, passion surging through him like fire. "But I want more. I want to fight for what matters, because together we can rebuild our communities. I can help." Some in the audience exchanged surprised glances, while others began to cheer, their voices lifting like a chorus breaking through the darkness. Jake felt alive, as if every word pulsing through him could change the trajectory of not just his life, but many others. He watched as Emily's eyes sparkled with surprise and delight. But that moment wasn't without cost. He could already sense the disapproval lining the faces behind him. Nevertheless, amidst that stark contrast, Jake thought that maybe this was the metamorphosis he needed, a transition from the lavish cage he once occupied to an open field of possibilities. Yet, as cheers filled the atmosphere around him, uncertainty flickered just beneath the surface. How would this declaration affect his relationships? Would those who once esteemed him for his fortune now regard him as a fool? Jake could feel the tension re-emerge, moistening the air, thick with anticipation. But before he could ponder further on that trajectory, a commotion erupted from the back of the room. A figure emerged, waving emphatically and shouting Jake's name. The crowd turned, eyes widening in confusion. What was happening? The weight of his declaration clashed with this unexpected intrusion, leaving a singular question hanging in the air. What new challenge awaited him at this pivotal moment? The figure making its way through the crowd was familiar, yet unsettling. As the murmurs rose, Jake squinted, trying to make out the features of the person who disrupted the moment he had just seized. The lights glinted off the finely groomed hair and tailored suit. "Jake!" The voice was sharp and demanding, cutting through the applause that still lingered from his declaration. As the man reached the front, a few people shoved aside to let him pass. Jake felt his stomach drop. It was Jeremy, his former business partner, the one who had always aimed for the high stakes, the big profits, and the glitzy lifestyle. The kind of life that Jake had just begun to distance himself from. "What on earth are you doing?" Jeremy huffed, his expression a mix of anger and disbelief. "This is not you. Don't throw everything away over some crusade." Jake's heart raced again, but this time not from excitement. Frustration burned within him. Here was the very embodiment of the life and values he was trying to leave behind, as if fate had decided to throw him back into the lion's den. "This is exactly who I am," Jake replied, his voice rising above the noise of confusion and tension. "I'm tired of the empty facade, Jeremy. I'm searching for something real, something that matters. Stop being naive." Jeremy shot back. "Your wealth is what gave you options. You'll regret this. I know people out there. They don't care about your dreams. They care about your money. You'll ruin your future." Jake could feel the weight of Jeremy's words. It was the first crack in his newfound conviction, an echo of doubt that reverberated in his mind. The naivety of idealism versus the harsh truth of the world. Behind him, he sensed whispers, unsure glances shared amongst friends and strangers. But it was Emily's hand on his arm that anchored him. "Jake, you don't have to prove anything to him. Look at what you started tonight." Her eyes were filled with kindness, a gentle reminder of why he had stepped forward to begin with. You're following your heart. That's what matters. Suddenly, the reality of the room shifted. The crowd was no longer just an audience. They were witnesses to a turning point, both for Jake and for themselves. They were leaning forward, waiting to see if he would bend under pressure or stand tall. Taking a deep breath, Jake turned back toward Jeremy, letting the dim light reflect on his determined face. You may be right about people only wanting money, he said, his voice steadier now, but I will never find fulfillment in just wealth. I don't want to chase a title, I want to inspire. He stepped away from the stage and into the sea of people, feeling their silent support, the energy pulsing through the crowd as if they too were on the cusp of something transformative. He met Jeremy's eyes one last time, the betrayal and anger in them swirling like a storm. But this time Jake felt calm amid the chaos. Love and purpose are worth more than any dollar amount, Jeremy, he asserted, and with that, he turned his back on the man who represented the life he no longer wanted. Around him, murmurs of agreement rippled through the audience. Some clapped, a few cheered, and others stepped forward seeking to join him in this new journey. But Jake knew the road wouldn't be easy. His choice to change had drawn a line in the sand. As he looked back at Emily, who now beamed with encouragement, a new wave of uncertainty washed over him. Was he ready for everything that his newfound path would demand? Before he could respond to that inner query, Jeremy's voice broke through, sharp and cutting. You'll regret this, Jake. You don't know what you're up against. The challenge hung heavy in the air, echoing Jeremy's threat, igniting a fire deep within Jake's center. What was ahead? How would he fight the battles that loomed large? With the spirit of the crowd behind him, he took a determined step forward, believing once again that courage could change everything. As the energy of possibility stirred around him, he felt a truth well up inside, clearer than ever. He was ready to uncover the real meaning of success, even and especially when it was shrouded in uncertainty. And just as he stood on that precipice of change, there was a flash, an unexpected revelation that sparked in his mind. What if his journey wasn't only about money versus purpose? What if there were hidden gems in his life he had yet to discover? That thought hung in the air like a question, as the crowd's energy buzzed with potential. What hidden treasures awaited him just beyond the horizon? Jake felt a rush of adrenaline as he absorbed the crowd's cheers. It was exhilarating, but it quickly mingled with a sense of foreboding. Jeremy's words echoed in his ears, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. He stole a glance at Emily, whose radiant smile grounded him, but even that couldn't fully dispel the gnawing doubts. What if he's right? Jake thought, pushing through the throng of admirers eager to speak with him. What if I really do regret this? The questions spiraled in his mind, an unsettling reminder of the stakes he had raised. He had left behind the glitz and glamour, but now he had a new responsibility. He needed to succeed not just for himself, but for those who looked to him for guidance. As the night wore on, a few familiar faces approached, people from his past who had once clinked glasses with him under the shimmering lights of his high-powered world. Some offered polite smiles, as if acknowledging a brave but foolish decision. Others tried to engage him in conversation about their businesses, their successes, subtly trying to pull him back into the fold. Jake, come on. You can make millions, still change the game. One old colleague urged, desperation in his eyes. You don't need to throw it all away. But that's exactly it. Jake's frustration bubbled over. I don't want that anymore. I want to build something that lasts. Something that means something. A silence fell, and he realized these were the same people with whom he had celebrated his previous life, each raising their glass to more money, more power. The hollow cheers from that time rang in his ears. Was this what he really wanted? Stepping away from the awkwardness, he found a quieter space at the edge of the venue. He leaned against a wall, breathing deeply as he gazed out over the city skyline. The twinkling lights stretched out before him so vast and beautiful. They reminded him of what he was trying to leave behind, but also of the potential held within each glowing dot. Jake? Emily's voice cut through his thoughts, soft and reassuring. She stood beside him, her calm presence restoring his balance. I saw you out there. You really stood your ground. He nodded, still processing. But it feels like I'm standing on a tightrope, he admitted. One wrong step and I could fall back into the very world I'm trying to escape. That's a risk with any change, she said gently. But it's the right kind of risk. You're already inspiring others. Look at how they responded. He turned to face her, something stirring within him. Do you really believe that? Absolutely, she said with conviction. You've connected with them in a way that many people never could. Just keep focusing on what truly matters to you. Her words ignited something in his chest. Could he truly make an impact? The people before him had been so conditioned to seek shortcuts and shiny packages, but maybe he could lead them somewhere better. Maybe he could show them that real wealth wasn't counted in dollars but in passion, purpose, and connection. Just then, a shout drew their attention. A commotion at the center of the room. A newcomer burst through the crowd, someone unexpected. Jake squinted into the light, unsure of whom he was looking at. Was it a supporter? Or was it someone hostile? Another voice from his old life coming back to haunt him? He felt a mix of excitement and dread, curiosity peaking in him. Who was this new figure and what did they want with him? The crowd parted, and the unknown person came into view. Jake's heart raced. This might change everything. What now awaited him in this swirling dance of fortune and fate? Jake's pulse quickened as he recognized the figure that emerged from the throng. It was Max, an acquaintance from his earlier days, a go-getter known for his ruthlessness and good looks. He had always been the one to thrive on the chase, embodying all that Jake was trying to escape. What was he doing here? As Max stepped closer, the crowd's buzz faded into a tense silence. His smile was charming but carried an edge, like a polished knife glinting in the light. Jake, fancy seeing you here, he said. His voice smooth yet laced with something unspoken. Max, Jake replied, forcing a smile, feeling the weight of the moment. What brings you to this gathering? I heard about your little transformation, Max replied, his eyes narrowing slightly. Thought I'd see it for myself. It takes guts to ditch the high-roller lifestyle for whatever this is. He gestured vaguely to the room, filled with earnest faces looking for something real. Jake squared his shoulders, dismissing the jab. It's a new path, one that actually means something to me. I want to make a difference. Make a difference? Max laughed, though it didn't sound joyful. What's a difference worth if you're not making bank? What about legacy? You're throwing away your potential. The words stung. Jake felt every eye in the room shift towards him. Max was prodding him, testing him. But Jake could also see Jeremy at the back, his expression unreadable. Maybe my potential isn't measured in dollars, Jake retorted, surprising even himself with the fire in his voice. It's about inspiring others to believe in something bigger than themselves. These people want change. Real change. Something flickered across Max's face. Was it understanding or something darker? Jake couldn't tell. He glanced sidelong at Emily, who stood watching him with an encouraging smile. Her presence was a balm, reminding him of his purpose. Max took a step back, crossing his arms. Okay, I see your point, but let us be real. Change doesn't pay the bills. What's your plan, Jake? Stand here and hope for the best? I'm gonna show them there's more to life than what we've been fed. Jake felt the words resonate deep within, steadying him. Hope, connection, passion, those are the real currencies. Good luck with that, Max replied, his voice dripping with sarcasm. But when it flops, don't come crying to me. You think this crowd is going to be loyal? They follow trends, Jake. Not true leaders. As Max turned to walk away, Jake shook his head, refusing to show doubt. They're searching for someone to follow. Someone real. Max paused, looking back over his shoulder. Just remember, when the glittering world calls you back, don't take the bait. With that, he slipped back into the crowd, leaving a ripple of murmurs in his wake. Jake's heart raced. For everyone with dreams, there were others like Max, who thrived on doubt and skepticism. Did he really have what it took to carve a new path? The room buzzed with conversations again, but for Jake, everything felt quiet. Emily stepped closer, her voice low. You stood your ground, Jake. That's what matters. You're on the right path. But as she spoke, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the winds were shifting around him. The night had already thrown unexpected challenges his way, and he sensed more turbulence ahead. Do you think I can really change things? Jake asked, searching her gaze for reassurance. Absolutely, she replied, her eyes bright with conviction. But doubt lingered, tantalizing in the back of his mind. Just then, another shout pierced through the crowd, louder, more urgent. Jake turned sharply. What now? A voice called his name, and his heart sank. This time it felt like the call of destiny. Would he embrace it, or let fear pull him back? The room shifted once again, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Jake turned to face the direction of the shout, anxiety tightening his chest. It was Jeremy, breaking through the crowd, his face a mask of urgency. Jake, we need you. Jeremy's voice was almost breathless, igniting a spark of fear within Jake. He had barely felt established in his newfound role, and now someone was calling on him like he was a hero. Would he measure up? What is it? Jake asked, forcing calm into his shaky voice, stepping towards Jeremy. It's about the fundraising initiative. The presentation. Jeremy paused, his eyes darting around as if searching for eavesdroppers. It's not going as planned. We're losing momentum, and we need you to rally the crowd. Rally the crowd? Jake felt an array of conflicting emotions. His heart raced, a bittersweet concoction of fear and excitement swirling within him. Could he really lead these people, fuel their passion when he was still figuring out his own? Led them how? Jake stammered, feeling the weight of the moment closing in on him. Speak to them. Remind them of our purpose. Show them that change isn't just a dream but a tangible reality we can create together, Jeremy urged. You were just doing it with Max. Don't let his words plant those seeds of doubt. Jake glanced back at Emily, who gave him a nod of encouragement. It was like she lit a small flame in his chest, kindling a growing spark of resolve. Okay, he said, determination rising to the surface. Let us do this. As he moved towards the makeshift stage at the front of the room, Jake's heart pounded like a drum in his ears. He could feel the tension in the air, an electric current threading through the crowd as they turned their attention to him. Each face held a glimmer of hope, a yearning for connection that he had been searching for himself. Clearing his throat, Jake stood tall, his voice steadying as he spoke. I know some of you might be wondering if we can make a real difference. I felt that doubt too. But look at us right here together. We are the change we've been waiting for. Each of us has a role, and it starts with believing in a better future. A ripple of murmurs flowed through the crowd. Jake felt their energy, and it ignited a fire in him. He continued, letting the passion of his words spill out, each syllable drawing in the listeners, wrapping them in his belief. He spoke of connection, of community, of faith in each other. As Jake wrapped up, a roar of applause erupted, invigorating his spirit. He hadn't just spoken, he had connected. But just as the applause began to settle, Jeremy's brow furrowed. Jake, he leaned closer, an urgent whisper in his ear. We've got a situation. It's Max. He's planning to undermine our efforts. We need to act fast. Jake felt that familiar knot in his stomach tighten, but there was no turning back now. He had to confront this head-on. What do we do? Tonight, Jeremy replied, we can't let him tarnish our message. We need a bold plan. Jake's heart thundered in his chest. Would he step up yet again, facing the very challenge he thought he had escaped? Let us meet in the back, he said, determination flooding his voice. Could he truly fight back against someone like Max? Would he rise to the occasion, or would fear win? The tension crackled in the air as Jake moved towards the shadows, the weight of their next move looming before him like a distant storm on the horizon. The night was far from over, and the stakes were rising. As Jake slipped into the dimly lit area at the back of the room, the buzz of the crowd faded into a low hum. He felt the weight of eyes on him, and with it, a tsunami of expectation crashing against his resolve. Jeremy followed closely, his face taut with determination. What's the plan? Jake asked, glancing around for anything that could solidify their next move. We need to counter Max's undermining. It's about turning our narrative in our favor, Jeremy said, hatching ideas even as he spoke. If we can get ahead of his attacks, people will see our strength, not our doubt. Right? Jake nodded, trying to absorb the gravity of the moment. He could almost hear Max's mocking voice in his mind, filling it with thoughts of failure and fear. Jeremy paced beside him, his fervor contagious. Let us stage a situation that shows the community rallying around us. A moment that exemplifies hope and change right before Max can strike. Jake felt a flicker of hope. What if we share personal stories? Real testimonies about how this initiative has already made a difference. The thought had emerged almost spontaneously, but it imbued him with courage. Exactly, Jeremy exclaimed. We can create a wave of positivity that drowns out his negativity. Rousing a storm of collective energy was what they needed. Jake's heart raced, and he knew the scars of doubt still lingered, threading through him. But he had a growing resolve. Let us get Emily involved. She can help gather those stories. As if summoned by their words, Emily joined them, suspicions of urgency written across her face. Did I hear my name? Her eyes darted back and forth between the two men. What's going on? Max is trying to sabotage our momentum, Jake explained, urgency flooding his tone. We're planning to build a story campaign to showcase the impact we're having. Emily's expression shifted instantly, a spark igniting in her gaze. Let us turn this around. Then, I'll reach out to those who've been affected by our initiatives. We need their authentic voices front and center. With her enthusiasm fueling their energy, the trio sprang into action. Jake moved through the crowd, seeking out individuals who were willing to share their stories. As he spoke with them, he couldn't help but feel the hope filling the room. Each testament of change, each story of a dream realized, helped to weave a tapestry of collective strength. He smiled at one gentleman who had started his own business after receiving support from the initiative. Their brief exchange filled Jake with pride. If these stories could spark even the smallest flicker of resolve in someone skeptical like Max, he could stand behind them with unwavering confidence. Suddenly, Jeremy clasped Jake's shoulder. It's time. We have to take the stage again. But this time, let us lift each other up. Jake's heart raced again, knowing the stakes had shifted. We're going to show them love can beat fear, no matter what Max throws our way. As they moved toward the front, the moment felt transformative. Jake glanced back at the faces surrounding him, and he saw the confidence mirrored in their eyes. This was bigger than just what they were fighting against. It was about finding strength in vulnerability, the power of connection, and the spirit of community. But before they reached the makeshift platform, the atmosphere shifted once more. A figure broke through the crowd, and Jake's stomach dropped. It was Max, striding towards them with an unsettling grin, his intent clear. Jake's breath hitched. We're not done yet, he whispered, clenching his fists. This confrontation was inevitable. What would he say now, when the moment that could define everything was closing in? Would this be their stand against the voice of doubt, or the unraveling of all they built? Jake felt the surge of uncertainty flood over him. Could they truly rise against Max's storm? Max's presence loomed larger than life, his eyes glinting with a predatory confidence. Jake felt his heart pound harder. This moment was crucial. What's the matter, Jake? Running scared? Max taunted, stepping closer, his voice dripping with mockery. You think a few stories can change the scripted end? Jake clenched his fists at his sides. It's about real people, Max. People who believe in what we're doing. Belief doesn't pay the bills. Max shot back, doing his best to undermine Jake's resolve. But he sensed the crowd was shifting. The whispers of intrigue began to hum beneath his bravado. From behind, Emily's voice broke through the tension. You don't get it, do you? This isn't just about money or power. This is a community, our community. The crowd nodded in agreement, sparks of encouragement lighting up their faces. Jake took a deep breath, remembering the hopes and dreams woven into each story he'd heard just moments before. Let us hear those stories then. Max sneered, but there was an edge of uncertainty in his tone. The shifting energy fizzled around him, and suddenly, he didn't seem as imposing. Jake stepped forward, raising a hand for silence. We gathered voices from every corner of this community. They are the heartbeat of our initiative and the foundation we're building on. He turned and gestured toward the gathering crowd, inviting those who had shared their stories to step forward. One by one, familiar faces emerged, each person imbued with a newfound confidence. A woman spoke first, her voice quivering but strong. I was at my lowest, struggling to support my family. This initiative gave me the chance to start fresh. Now I run a small cafe and create jobs for others. The crowd erupted with cheers, and Jake felt the warmth of unity radiate within him. Another voice joined in, a young man with hopeful eyes. Through this initiative, I was able to pursue my passion for art. I never thought I'd have the support I needed. Now I'm showcasing my work at local galleries. With each story, Max's composure cracked. The confidence he had held crumbled like an old house of cards, revealing the shaky foundation of his own fears. Enough! Max roared, but the crowd drowned him out, lifted by the energy pouring forth from the people who backed Jake. Jeremy leaned toward Jake, pride in his eyes. This is it, man. They're with us. They believe in us. Jake nodded, feeling a swell of emotion rise within him. Let us show them how powerful we can be together. He turned back to Max, his voice steady despite the drumbeat of nerves. What we're building isn't just a project. It's a lifeline. This community deserves hope, and we're not backing down. Max's face twisted in rage, but the shifting tide was too strong. The crowd surged, chanting phrases of support and resilience, drowning out Max's attempts to reclaim power. Jake could feel the fear leaving his bones, energy surging through him instead. They were creating something bigger than any one person, an unbreakable bond anchored in shared experience, joy, and healing. We're not just fighting for ourselves, he shouted, sweeping his arms wide. We're fighting for all of us. Just as hope began to solidify in Jake's chest, Max stepped back, a sinister smile forming. You think this is over? This is just the beginning. Jake's heart sank for a moment, the weight of Max's words pressing down. But he shook it off, focusing instead on the rallying crowd. Together we stand, he cried, his voice charged with the resolve of everyone behind him. But even as they celebrated their unity, a shadow loomed over their victory. What were Max's next moves? Would his threats morph into something more dangerous? The excitement in the air felt charged, but so did the uncertainty. The path ahead would not be easy, and even the strongest connections could face storms. As Jake stepped to the forefront beside Emily and Jeremy, he realized they had to brace for what was to come, ready or not. The challenge was just beginning. Would their resolve withstand the trials waiting just around the corner? The crowd began to dissipate gradually, but the energy still crackled in the air like static. Jake watched as people exchanged hopeful glances. He could see the fire ignited within them now. They were more than just faces in the crowd. They were a movement. So what's the plan, Jake? Emily asked, her brow furrowed as she glanced at the retreating Max. He's not gonna let this go, is he? Jake sighed. No, he won't. I can feel it. But we're not going to back down. We need to hit hard while the inspiration is fresh. The dimming sunlight cast long shadows across the street. Jake took a deep breath, knowing that the emotional high wouldn't last unless they kept pushing. The rally had been a start, a spark, but they needed structure, a mission, to keep that flame alive. Let us gather everyone again tomorrow, he suggested, his mind racing ahead. We need to outline our next steps, turn stories into action, connect them with resources, make tangible plans. Yes, Jeremy chimed in, clenching his fist in excitement. Let us map out how we can support what we've started here. If we can show Max that we're organized, he'll lose his grip. The optimism buzzing in the group was infectious. They quickly began tossing around ideas, events, fundraisers, partnerships. With each suggestion, Jeremy drew diagrams in the air, painting a picture of their hopes. But just as they immersed themselves in plans, Jake felt a chill snake down his spine. Max's words echoed. This is just the beginning. What did that mean? How are we supposed to stand strong against whatever he has up his sleeve? Jake murmured, a sense of dread creeping in. Hey, that guy thrives on fear, Emily said, stepping closer, her voice firm. If we let that show, it'll only empower him. We're focused on what we can control our community. Jake nodded, grateful for her steadiness. They were a team, but the reality of their uphill battle weighed heavily on him as they wrapped up their meeting. Jake watched the crowd head home, laughter mingling with the evening air. That laughter felt like a promise, one of resilience, a shared hope. But in the pit of his stomach, unease churned. What's our move if he decides to retaliate? He asked out loud, the question hanging in the air, unspoken fears spreading among them like wildfire. Even if he comes at us, we push back harder, Jeremy said, determination etching lines into his face. We can mobilize our supporters, show them the strength in numbers. Just then, Emily held up her phone, eyes widening. Look, people have already begun sharing stories online. Hashtags are trending. Jake leaned in and saw text scrolling across the screen. It showed heartfelt testimonials just as they had shared earlier, powerful affirmations of their cause. But then he spotted something unsettling. Wait, he squinted as he read one near the top. It was a direct attack on him and the project, a smear campaign crafted with calculated precision. Max must be behind this. Emily's face paled. What do we do now? Jake's pulse quickened. Their fragile unity was now threatened, and the battle was becoming personal. All that he and his team had fought for was now under scrutiny, just as they were starting to gain real ground. We prove him wrong, Jake said, resolve hardening in his voice. We gather everyone again and expose the truth. We'll show our followers what's really at stake here. Our stories are more powerful than lies. But as much as he spoke with confidence, a creeping thought lingered. What if the truth alone wasn't enough? The stakes had been raised, and they were running out of time. The sleepless nights to come would test not only his community's strength but his own. Would they rise stronger than the storm brewing ahead? Or would they be swept away by a tide of deceit? The sun dipped low over Chicago, casting a golden hue on the streets, as Jake gathered his supporters for a final stand against the wave of skepticism that threatened their initiative. The whispers of doubt spiraling through the community had grown louder, but Jake was determined to drown them out with truth and purpose. In the heart of the gathering, the anticipation crackled like electricity. Children played in the background, their laughter ringing out like a clarion call to hope and joy. This was a moment for togetherness, for reaffirming beliefs, not just for Jake, but for everyone standing with him. Thank you all for being here, Jake began, his voice steady yet soft, aimed at every heart that held hope. We've faced a lot of doubts, and I know some of you have heard things that make you question our mission. You've read the stories saying we can't change things, that we one team make a difference. But I'm here to tell you that every single one of us is proof that change is possible. A gentle swell of murmurs rippled through the crowd, eyes wide with optimism, and in that moment, he saw a newfound fire igniting within them. Look around you. Every person here has a story, a vision that transcends anything Max or anyone else has spewed against us. I've met so many of you, and your resilience shines brighter than any self-serving narrative. Jake's voice rose, laced with fervor. We are not just a group of individuals. We are a community united by purpose. Each story shared had a weight that hung in the air, threading together lives, hopes, and dreams. Jake motioned toward a local artist, who stepped forward to speak. When I thought no one would believe in me, this initiative lifted me up. Now I'm not just a painter. I'm a beacon for others who feel like they're lost. The crowd roared with approval, voices melting into a wave of solidarity. One by one, they stepped up, sharing snippets of their lives, their transformations, and the incredible impact their community support had fostered. Each voice further dismantled Max's hollow claims, turning doubt into triumphant celebration as the crowd grew louder. Jake locked eyes with Emily, standing strong by his side, her smile radiant. He returned to his speech, each word a reminder of the strength within their community. We know the power of our truth. We know that fear is nothing compared to the love we share. Together, we'll amplify these voices because our stories matter, we matter. Around him, people clapped, chanted, and held signs that read love over fear, and we are stronger together. The city felt alive, each pulse fueling their resolve. Then came the moment that pushed Jake's heart into overdrive. Max emerged from the shadows of doubt, his disdainful glare targeting Jake directly. But this time, rather than cowering, Jake felt an unexpected rush of clarity. "Max!" Jake shouted, drawing the crowd's attention back to him. "You may think you have power with your money, but you can't buy what we have here. You can't buy love, hope, or a community ready to fight for one another." Max's resolve faltered under the piercing gaze of the crowd that now swayed as one, dispelling the aura of dominance he had held so tightly. "Hold on to what you truly believe," Jake continued, his voice resonating strongly. "No one can take that from you." In that moment, he realized they had transformed the battlefield into a sanctuary of conviction, where every clap, every cheer, represented a collective strength stronger than any individual. With the crowd behind him, Jake looked directly at Max, the air thick with challenge. "You can try to undermine us all you want, but we won't falter. We will fight against the tide of negativity and prove that together, we can forge a new path ahead, one built on principled resolve." Max turned on his heel, frustration bubbling over as he disappeared into the crowd. The moment hung there like a daring victory, and the cheers erupted like fireworks in the night sky as the energy pulsed through the crowd. Jake turned back to his people, their faces glowing with determination, hearts solidifying with one rhythm, and he realized how far they had come. Each person had risen to the occasion, reminding him that love and unity were far more potent than wealth or influence. And in that precise moment, amidst the laughter and excitement, Jake felt something warm envelop him, a realization of purpose that filled his heart to overflowing. This was truly what it meant to succeed. This was a community ready to build a brighter future together. With tears of joy glistening in his eyes, he called out, "Let us keep moving forward. Together we'll continue to uplift, inspire, and empower, not just tonight, but every single day. Let us show the world the power of real connection." Hands flew up into the air, voices igniting the evening, wrapping around them like a warm embrace of hope, a promise that the journey was only beginning. As Jake stood there, surrounded by friends, community, and love, he knew triumph was not just found in the battles won, but in the bonds forged and the journeys yet to come. The world awaited what would they create next. Now is your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and change lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let everyone know these stories matter. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful Ending Your Voice Matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of backing the channel through these actions.